Hello, how you doing? This is my Muslim rant, part two. Now, this is the Muslims come to all the Western countries. They're always migrating to the Western countries. They come to Europe, Western Europe. They come to Italy, Germany. They trying to come to Poland. All the Western European countries. They come to America or they come to Canada. Muslims. And then when they get there, and they get all these free England too. When they get there and they get all these freebies from these Western nations, they go out in the street, death to America, death to England, who's supporting their nasty butts, death to Italy, death to France, death to Poland. Everybody would become a Muslim. Yada yada yada. We want Sharia law. Everybody in England be under Sharia law, including royalty. Everybody be under Sharia law in Germany. Everybody be under Sharia law in Italy, France, all the Western European nations. When they come to Houston, when they come to Atlanta, the gay capital, okay? When they come to Ohio and New York, of all places, they say, death to America, death to America. We support Hamas. We support Hamas. They go to Congress. They get elected to Congress. They still saying the same thing. Death to America. Death to America. We support Hamas. They say the same thing whether they're in Houston, Ohio, California, New York, anywhere. They do the same thing when they go to Canada. Death to Canada. Death to Canada. Everybody be under Sharia law. We support Hamas. Yada, yada, yada. We're going to take over. They got this fantasy that all they need is 3.5% of the world population. They will have a takeover. Now, let me say this about them. They are not robust enough to take over this America. I'm going to tell you that. Because, whatever you can say about our military is robust. They can run the 50-yard dash. The ICE agents are robust. They are not robust to even be much of a soldier to take over this country or any other Western European country. They're not robust enough to be soldiers. They're hardly fed. You can't be a soldier on rice and lentils. Rice, lentils, and bread. Fire roasted bread. You can't be a soldier with a diet like that. But they always say, we're going to take over. We're going to take over the United States. United States seems to be a target. Okay, right. Tell the Southern Baptists that. How are you going to take over the Southern Baptists? How are you going to take over the black church? Okay, and so what are we supposed to have some loyalty to Khomeini or one of those people from Iran, Iraq? We're supposed to have some kind of loyalty? Why are they coming to America? If you want to be a Muslim, stay in a Muslim country. This is a nation under God. It's written in the Constitution. Christianity and being a Muslim are diametrically opposed to each other. That will never work. If you want to be a Muslim, I don't have an issue with it. Stay in Iran, stay in Iraq, stay in Syria. Stay in Saudi Arabia. Look, Saudi Arabia doesn't want them. Egyptians don't particularly want them. Look, if you want to be a Muslim, stay in Palestine. Egypt doesn't even want the Palestinians. That should be alarming right there. Look, I don't understand why they keep coming to America. Because Muslim and Christianity are diametrically opposed to each other. They're not robust enough to be soldiers to take over any country, much less America. Are they going to take over Joe Osteen's church, T.D. Jakes' church? Okay, they're not robust enough soldiers to do that. Okay? Look, my opinion, if they want to be Muslim, stay in a Muslim country. But look, the Muslim countries don't even want them. Okay? Now, look, Mexicans say the same thing, that we're going to take over. Now, look, Mexicans are runts. Fat runts. And skinny runts. They can't take over anything. But they say they're gonna take over everything. They're gonna take over California. They're gonna take over New Mexico, Arizona, and everything. They're gonna take over. Some runts are gonna take over this country. Now, what they have done was bankrupt California. I go along with that. They're on the verge of bankrupting New Mexico and Nevada. I go along with that. But they're not gonna take over anything. What they're gonna be is deported. But those runts can't do anything. They're not soldier material either. Soldiers don't live off of beans and tortillas. That's not what a soldier marches on. Beans and tortillas. They're not robust enough to take over anything. But Mexicans say that too. We're going to take over. Take over what? No, what they're going to do is ruin. They've already totally ruined Nashville. The beautiful Nashville. They have ruined countries. The Somalis have ruined Ohio. The Somalis have ruined Minneapolis. Somalis have ruined New York. A lot of these people, they have ruined cities, but they haven't taken over cities, but they have ruined them. I'll go along with that. They've ruined the neighborhood. The neighborhood I live in is ruined by Mexicans. It's just ruined. There's 10 times as much trash in the neighborhood. I had to call the police 4 times on the neighbor who keep that neighbor out of my yard. I had to call the police at least 4 times to keep that neighbor out of my yard. And there's still problems. I'm going to have to call the police again. Now, how the Muslims going to take over the Southern Baptists? How are they going to take over Joe Osteen's church, T.D. Jakes' church? How are they going to do it? Or the Southern Baptists aren't going to put up with that. Okay, look. If there's flooding in California, everybody's going to be flooded. The Mexicans going to be flooded. The Arabs, the Muslims, the Indians. If there's flooding in California, which it is, everybody's going to be flooded out, okay? It's not going to even matter what religion. This is what my opinion is. If you Muslims, stay in a Muslim country. Don't come to the West. Okay, but look, I know why they come to the West. Because these stupid Western countries are always giving them freebies. All kinds of welfare, food stamps, a free apartment, this, that, and the other. That's why, because they cannot make $1 in their own country, so they come here to get the freebies. They come to Canada, United States, all of Western Union to get freebies. Look, Italy the beautiful, already looks like a third world country. Paris the beautiful, already looks like a third world country with all these outside vendors and stuff. And look, my neighborhood smells and looks like a third world country. You know, there was this group of townhouses that I wanted to buy. And I really did want to buy it. They were not very expensive. And Mexicans have moved in it, and it's just a Mexican ghetto. There's trash. The townhouses are raggedy. I'm glad I didn't buy it. It's terrible. And they're near a school. But that's part of my rant on the Muslims.